All right, Mibor, we're going to go ahead and get started today. So today we are going to dive in talking about how to build your personal brand that creates your company profits. I believe 100% that in today's environment, that the personal brand is the new company brand. And so if you think about how we consume information, you think about how people engage with us, 9 times out of 10, they engage with us personally first and our company second. Even if you think about some of the big brands that are out there, the same thing happens. You find a spokesperson that you like, you find and you follow them all the way to what sometimes is the company brand. So today we're going to dive right into that and really break this down for you. Now, I always start with my favorite thing, and that is the Mojo. Everybody say Mojo.
Mojo.
And so today we're talking about getting the right mindset, or the Mojo mindset as we always talk about, which is how do I live with the highest level of positive attitude and positive energy? It's excitement, it's enthusiasm, it's purpose, it's passion. In other words, the Mojo mindset's really you guys reframing what you do, because it's not just selling houses, it's providing a home. It's that your job is to protect people's time, protect their money, and their experience. Like, we can't just now get it done for people, and the process was brutal, the process was terrible, overwhelming, and now they have a bad taste in their mouth. Anybody can do that. Really what we're after is that we take so much pride in what we do and the way that we do it, at the end of the day, people raise their hand and go, that was an amazing experience. And then the way they see you and what you've done, it's easy for them to rave about their experience. And then today we're going to talk about, once they have that experience, how do we maximize that? So the topic is how to build a personal brand that grows your real estate business. And there's a lot of different factors to this. So our masterclass is about an hour, 15 minutes today. I'm going to give you an overview with a lot of details, a lot of information. And the truth is, I'll be honest, at the end of it, most of your heads will be spinning a little bit. Because you're going to be thinking about all the things that you haven't done, all the things that you should do. And at the end of it, what you have to decide is going, number one, am I equipped to do this? 2, what training and development will I need after this? Or 3, for some of you, you'll just know and be honest with yourself, some self-awareness, go, I'm never going to do it. I better just pay the man, okay? Pay somebody to do it, right? That's kind of my thing at our household. When anything goes wrong, I don't even try to fix it. Like, my wife is actually our handyman. She'll try, she'll YouTube it, she'll do all, I ain't doing it. I would rather go to work for a whole another day to make enough money to pay whatever it costs. 1, because I love what I do, and 2, I have no patience to do it. So sometimes our own self-awareness is a big piece of this puzzle, all right? So let's jump in and talk about, number 1, personal brand is not just about your logo. It's not just your tagline or your phrase or your business cards. It's funny because I see so many business people, real estate agents especially, that they think it's like, okay, I got to get this really cool looking business card, and I got to come up with a tagline. What is my team name going to be? Because everybody has to have a team name. And they spend all this time around that stuff, right? Which, let me be clear, is needed at the right time. But too many people think that that's what your personal brand is. Your personal brand is really your story. It's who you are and what you do, how you do it, why you do it, the impact that you make when you do it. It's your story. And the biggest frustration that I have looking at especially realtor brands is most people do a poor job at telling their story. Now, I already know if I sit down with you one-on-one and we have a good conversation, I'm going to know so much about you that I'm probably going to want you to be my agent. The problem is that only happens if we get face-to-face. In today's environment, so much of the challenge is getting people to get face-to-face. Because let's face it, if there's 70 of you in this room today all trying to vie for this one client's business, I'm going to choose who I meet face-to-face based upon what I see, based upon what I hear. So some of you that you're like, well, I'm great one-on-one, I'm great in person, you may never get that chance. So what we're going to be talking about is, how do you craft the right message? Yeah, I'm going to put a brand in front of it and call it a brand. It's the message. How do we tell your story? How do we use video to get people to raise their hand and say, I want to work with you, Steve? See, that really is the goal. Now, here's the problem. Oh, let me back up. Here's the thing. Once you figure out what that message is, then we got to be able to package up that message and deliver it to the right audience. One of the most important things you can take away from today is, although your business, your services are for anyone, it shouldn't be marketed to everyone. Now, that was a soundbite, that was my clip, that was my hook, and the phone was ringing. So let me just say that again for the cameras. No, seriously, just because your service is for anyone, it doesn't mean you should market it to everyone. Because the moment you try to be everything to everybody, it dilutes your message, you don't have enough money to reach everybody, and now your marketing is ineffective. See, what the big box brands have done, they spent billions of dollars to make sure you know who they are, what they do, and how they do it. It's the heart-wrenching stories. It's the connection. It's trying to come into your living room and make sure that you feel their brand purpose. If you rewind the clock back to Thanksgiving and then Christmas, and you look at all the ads, they were all these heartstrings trying to get you to feel emotionally connected to them, aka telling you their story of why they do it. I'm excited for Sunday because obviously it's a Super Bowl and we'll get a chance to see who does this best. Now, the Super Bowl is a little bit different because people have a very short amount of time to be outrageous and engage, but you'll remember the ones that have a story that engages you. And that's exactly what these big brands have done. So I believe the number one problem that you have in the real estate business is your personal brand sucks. And I wish I could say it any nicer. Now, the reason for most of you this is a problem is because you signed up to be a real estate agent, not a marketing agency. You didn't say, hey, you know what? I think I'm going to get my real estate license so I can learn everything about Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter and video and Facebook ads and brand concepts. That's not what you did. You said, I have a passion to sell houses, or some of you said, I'm just trying to get a paycheck. Let's just keep it 100 today. But then you realize that the biggest problem that you have is getting people to raise their hand and say, I want to work with you. So the thing you got to realize in 2020, you're not just in the real estate business. You're in the business of marketing your real estate services. You're in the business of telling people who you are and what you do and why they should work with you. Now, for some of you that have been in this business and you're old school, you're like, yeah, but I've never done that before. I haven't had to do that before. I get it. But we're entering times like never before. One of the questions that came when I was doing this yesterday was, what's the biggest difference between business today and over the course of, say 20 years ago? Well, 20 years ago, you didn't have all this competition in your feed, in your inbox, saying, pick me, pick me. So then you relied so much on the direct connection, your relationships, your sphere of influence, and as long as you didn't really suck, you were okay face to face, you won business. But today, even those people that you call your friends, that have known you for X amount of years, they're getting bombarded with messages from other real estate agents, and they're trying to justify why they would work with their friend who doesn't appear to be as good, as knowledgeable. And they're not sure they should do it. So that's why you got to understand your message and your value proposition is one of the most important things. Now, the way we consume almost everything in our life is through a process, right? And the process today, I believe, goes like this. Number one, we love to get referrals. And a lot of agents in here, like you have relied on referrals all your life, right? Second thing we do is we search. So if I want to get carpet, or if I'm trying to have something, or buy something, that's what I do, right? I go online and I search. And then the third way that we choose is that we were minding our own business. We were sitting on our couch just scrolling, and we saw some what we call scroll stopping content. Something that was like, wow, I want to buy that. And your spouse is looking over at you at the couch, and you got the twinkle in your eye. You're going to buy something that you don't even need, because that's how good it looked. Now, I'm not talking about deception today. I am talking about it is important to create some scroll stopping content. Something that makes people go, man, I want to work with him. I want to work with her. And that's what all of your sphere of influence is getting every single day. And the question becomes, can you compete with that? Or check that, the question becomes, will you do what it takes to compete with that? So we start with this process right here. Then, once we get that, then we try to validate it. Some of you have been blessed enough that somebody tagged you in a Facebook post because somebody else asked that question. I'm thinking about buying a house. Can you recommend a real estate agent? And then there was like 72 people tagged to a, right? Now think about that strategy. You can use that in reverse too. Hey, you know anybody that tags somebody you think that is ready to buy a house? Cool strategy. Now you may only get 4 people, but that's 4 more than you had. But here's what happens. Your name gets tagged in that list, and let's just say it's 10. What do the people do next? Oh, here's what they do. They call you and they say, hey, can I have a coffee meeting? I'd love to hear about your pitch. No, what do? They Google you, they check your social, and they look to see if you have any reviews. Now think about that. There are some of you in here that are absolutely amazing at what you do. No doubt. But if I Googled you, if I asked some questions around you socially, and I looked at all of your stuff, I would be so unimpressed that I'd be like, nah, I'm going to go to the next person. And I clicked on the next person's stuff that took me to their website, and had the big banner out there, and had their little signature quote, and then had their video on there. I clicked that, I'm like, ooh, wow, they're a professional. And I clicked to the next one, I clicked to the next one. And I'm making decisions on who I'm going to work with right there. Because what we've got to understand is that is the game. So what got you here won't necessarily get you there. And as an industry and as business owners, you got to understand that. And then you got to decide, well, what am I willing to do? Now, let's be honest. Some of you in here, you are very good at what you do. And you don't have to do this. And you will make it until it becomes so overwhelming and you've been drowned around other people that are doing it well. Here's the best news for you guys in here today. And we do lots of personal brand audits on agents in this city. Most people aren't very good at it yet. That's why when they announced this, that I was doing this today, it sold out in 5 minutes. There's a waiting list for people to come in here today because people know I don't know how to do it, and I keep hearing that I need to, but I don't necessarily know. But this is the process. And so when we look at your brand, what will we actually see? Mike passed out our personal brand audit form, which is what we do. It's a 15-step process that I start with a Google, right? So I Google you and I go, well, do you even have a Google My Business page? And if you have a Google My Business page, are your photos on it? Or is it accurate? Is the information there? Are you posting socially on every day to Google My Business? And some of you are like, I don't even know what that is or how to get it. That's fine until you leave today. Because I'm going to share this with you, and now you have to make the decision, am I going to take the steps to do what I need to do to put myself in a position to succeed? So then we just go through the steps. We look at your photos. You know, if I Google you and you only have one photo in the top 3 things, and now other realtors are showing up, you've worked hard to get on that list for somebody to come check you out, and now you don't even really show up. And right now, some of you are like, can I stop right now and go check, because I don't know. Then we move on to videos. Do you have any videos that I could watch and consume? Remember this, approximately 80% of content consumed online today is video. So if you're not doing video and doing it well, you're behind. But I go to this page and I'm looking for a video, I'm begging to see something that I can click and I can watch and I can consume a view, and I get, one from 2017 that you posted, that the camera was way back there on your iPhone 3, and I can't even see you, and I can't hear you. Now, most of you have pitched somebody in your world that you needed. You needed the iPhone 11 because of the camera and the video. And you're still not using it. Now, I have a video crew here today. We got 2 full-time videographers that do all of our stuff. But that's not all the things that we do, because some of it is done with the iPhone. Or some people, like Patrick back there, he uses Android. I don't know how people live with those things, but he does. And truth be told, he posts more stuff than I do. But nonetheless, like we start going through this. We look at your realtor.com. We look at all these different things. We look at your Facebook page and check and see if you're doing ads. And we go to your LinkedIn profile and we start looking at your website and your messaging. And at the end of it, we're going, wow. Not what I saw, wow, and engaging. It was like, wow. Wow. Mike is my token millennial that walked up here earlier to tell you guys about your personal brand stuff. And we do a lot of one-on-one coaching, consulting, and we work with clients on our agency side of our business. And Mike's always like, I don't understand why people don't, why do they hesitate? And I had to explain to him going, because a lot of people in this room are just good enough. Or they're just, I should say, average enough. And I want you to be clear today, what I'm presenting to you is how you go from average good to great. And if you don't want that, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with you saying, I'm good with my 2 million, my 5 million, my 10 million, my 20 million, whatever your number is. I'm good with that. So you don't have to do this stuff. But what I want people to think about is when you're sitting around, you're putting your goals together and you're saying, but I want to be better and I want to do more. I'm tired of watching other agents grow their business and have all these clients and I'm not having them and I'm better than they are. But you won't do what it takes. Then you have a self-awareness issue. And today is about unpacking all those things. So this is our 15-step process. It's our digital audit. That's what that form is. Now, every time we do an event, we did one yesterday and we do one today, we get a bunch of these. We might get a little bit backed up, but we typically say about 2 weeks and we'll have that to you. We'll send a copy to that. Mike will jump on the phone with you, walk through, explain what we see, and make recommendations on what you should do and how you can fix that, okay? And there are a lot of things I'm going to show you today you can easily fix yourself. There's some of the things I'm going to show you today that take an amount of skilled knowledge for you to acquire to be able to do it. And you just got to figure out what that looks like for you. But let's put this all let's put this all in consideration based upon some basic numbers, right? So if an agent does 36 transactions in the greater Indianapolis area, 36 transactions, 3 a month, 200K, 7.2 million, $216,000 of GCI, puts you in about the top 5 to 3% of all agents in the city. That's 3 deals a month. And here's what I'm suggesting to you today. If I lined up 36 people right now and I referred every single one of them to you, I believe that every person in this room that has a license could handle it, right? You could show them the house. You could write the offer. You could hold their emotions together long enough to close it. And the only reason why you didn't do that number last year, or you can't increase by that number this year, is because you can't get them to line up. And you can't get them to say, I want to work with you. So contextually, that's what we're talking about, is how do we line up? You're good enough as an agent already. You can do the purchase agreements, you can do the home inspection, you can do all that. Now, I can't. I'm not a real estate agent. I'm not licensed. I mean, I'm sure I could pass the test maybe eventually. From what I hear, it's not the easiest test, and sometimes you got to take it a couple times, but I could get there, right? So what I'm talking about today is making sure, A, you get to the 36, and B, to make sure that you add, if you're already there, then to add 1 more deal a month. What we're talking about today is going, could you do this to add one more deal a month, 12 deals a year, and add an extra 72 in their pocket? That's what we're talking about. But on the flip side, what's important to understand is you also got to make sure you're not losing that 1 deal a month because of what people see. And I wish I had the metrics to be able to go through and tell every single one of you how many deals you lost last year based upon people seeing your stuff, not being engaging, or how many people that were simply a part of your sphere on Facebook. You have 500 people on there. According to NAR, about 50 of those did transactions. Think about that. Every 10 years, somebody buys a house, sells a house. So if that's statistically speaking, that's kind of the rule of 10, which means about 10% of your database, your friends, your group, your neighborhood turns over. The question is, how many of them are doing that with you? And why not? All right? So it all starts here, and then it begins this all right, how do I tell my story? Well, I'll just give you a little preview. My story's pretty simple. I'm from Lafayette, Indiana. I grew up. These were our family pictures growing up. My parents divorced when I was 2 years old, and so systematically they suggested there are only certain things that should happen for me at that point in time. And so if I knew that at the time, I probably would have let it get to my head, and I would have allowed certain things to happen in self-fulfilling prophecies, but I didn't know that at that point in time. But what I did know is by 6th grade, none of that mattered because I was confident. And I had style, and you couldn't tell me nothing, all right? Now, looking at the age of this room right here, some of you have that same picture with the same background. Now, mine was 6th grade. Yours looks like it might have been high school, but I'm not judging you, okay? And some of the babies in the room are like, what is that? Like, what? They think that was from the 60s, right? No, I graduated in 95. I'm not that old. Come on now. But I had that confidence. And my confidence for me always was about sports. I was a baseball, basketball, football player. I went to McCutcheon High School, 12 varsity letters, played all those sports. And I love sports, and that was my thing. So I went on to chase what was my dream, which was playing college sports. Originally went to Illinois State, ended up at Purdue. And I tell people that, it's one thing if you're sharp enough that you can become a college dropout. Like I was a college dropout. It takes skill to be a college dropout. But the only thing that takes more to be a college dropout is to be a 2-time college dropout, which I managed to do that, okay? So I kind of had that thing going for me. But what I learned from this experience for me was that was my dream. It's what I want to do. It's what I wanted to be since as long as I can remember. And there came a point in time that I gave up on my dream. I don't have a lot of regrets in my life. I mean, I definitely have some things that, man, I wish I could have do-overs. And that was one of them. And to this day, for whatever reason, I still feel that pain of walking away from that dream. Because it also sent me kind of on a spiral. And I remember in Lafayette when I had dropped out of school and I was job hunting, figuring it out, I ended up working at this pawn shop. And this pawn shop was very important to my journey because I remember working at this pawn shop. I was making like $7.25 an hour. And I remember having this, how did I get here? Like this was not how I mapped this out. This is not who I was going to be. And then I had a little bit of doubt happening because I'm like, well, they were right. They said I wasn't going to be anything. They said I wouldn't amount to anything. They said I couldn't do anything outside of playing sports. They said that. And I started dealing with all of that baggage or that head trash. And that started to mess with me having some self-fulfilling limitations of what I could be and what I could do. And I'm talking about this right now because some of you in this room today, that's your biggest issue. It's your own self-limiting beliefs on what you can or you cannot be. And I think that's important to pause because for some of you, all this will sound great and wonderful and fuzzy and you'll be somewhat excited, but you're going to have the doubt like, well, I probably can't do that. Or this won't work for me. Or I've tried that before. And we'll go down all the paths of all the excuses of why you won't invest in yourself to get it done. I was driving down here this morning listening to Lauren Daigle's You Say. And for whatever reason, today that kind of, it hit me. And I was thinking about sending this to our entire team, which I probably will. I was trying not to text and drive. But I was listening to this going, this is why so many people never succeed. And whether it's because you believe in God and you're thinking about what God says about you and who you are, or if you're not even spiritual and you just say, listen, the world says this and I don't feel like I can, the principle still holds true. And that is for some of us in this room, you're holding yourself back. And if you don't understand that these 6 inches between your head, that you need to have a mindset shift, everybody say shift, that what I'm going to lay out for you doesn't matter. Like you've got to believe that you can. You got to believe that I will. And you got to believe that even if I don't have every piece of knowledge to do it, there are people that can help me get there. I'm a 43-year-old guy that I loved Michael Jordan growing up because he was my hero to want to play basketball. But Kobe Bryant came in 2 years after I graduated, and for the next 20 plus years, he became that guy for me. And this tragedy, for whatever reason, has just emotionally impacted me way more than I thought. I've never met Kobe. I don't know him. But I've consumed so much content over the years and loved the way he fought. And then I loved when he retired, the way he really transformed into his girls and the way he was as a dad. And being a great dad has always been so important to me with me and my 3 kids. But I started thinking about the commitment to success. And I don't know if some of you guys have heard the story with all the stuff. And if you don't like Kobe, I apologize if you have to hear this story. But they talked about why he chose to buy a helicopter and start flying in a helicopter. And it made me realize something important. He said, well, first of all, I could drop my kids off at school, jump in the helicopter, fly downtown, get my workout in, and commit all day long. And I could grind it out. And I could get back in the helicopter and fly back to get into the carpool line so I could pick my kids up. And his wife said, I'll do it. He said, no, I love doing that. I want to do that. I love that commitment to what was important to him. And what I wish for this room is that everybody has that type of commitment to whatever your goal is and whatever your dream is. Because when you get to this point in your life, you're going to have to decide this. If I really want success, am I committed to make it happen, or am I just interested? Is today about coming to really get the knowledge and the nuggets to do it, or it's just like I get to check it off and say, yeah, I did it and it wouldn't work? There's 7,000 plus agents in this city. There's 75 of you that are here today to get the right knowledge to learn how to do this, but we got to get the head right to be able to do it. See, I got out of my situation because of education, not in the traditional sense, because I became a fanatic about learning and growing and trying to consume everything I could to be the best version of me. Now, I had a little chip on my shoulder because I was still fighting that people said that I couldn't, and I wanted to prove that I could. But that's what it was. I wanted to educate myself, and I've spent hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars in the last 25 years in education. And I believe that the education that I have is superior to what I could have got when I was at Purdue. Now, definitely if I was at IU, but really talking about Purdue. But then there's also relationships, building those relationships to help me grow. You know, I'm getting ready to leave here today. I'm going downtown, I work for downtown, to a friend of mine, Steve Klipsch, who's been a good mentor of mine. He runs a major brand agency, the speaker company guys, sold it, made all that me. Steve has been a mentor for me for years. I spent a lot of time investing in that relationship to not just get, but also give. And that started to change the way I think and the things that I do. And then coaches. Had several different coaches that I had to hire and say, listen, I'm weak in this particular area. I don't know how to fix this. Right now, we're going to an agency, and I'm going through some of those same growing pains and doing the same thing. But see, this was what allowed me to ultimately chase my dream, which was to be a motivational speaker. And now I've done 2,500 plus paid talks all across this country. I've been in some of the coolest scenarios. Jamie Foxx hired me to come speak at his kid's school, and done events with celebrities and NFL teams. Like, that was me doing what I had to do to put myself in a position to chase what was important to me. And that was traveling the country. Now, for those of you who think that's a really cool, glamorous life, and it is in some cases, but when you leave your family every single week and you jump on a plane and you go someplace, at some point in time you have that feeling like, I don't want to do this anymore. Not want to speak and not want to inspire people, but I don't want to leave my family. Because I have my slides are out of order. I have an amazing family. I have a 4-year-old little boy. I have a 6-year-old. I have an 18-year-old, and I got a smoking hot wife. And so I just leaving her and them every single week wasn't something that I really wanted to do. So I had to find a way to still be passionate about what I'm doing and yet still make the impact. Now I'm going to mess up my slides here and go back to say this, but so that led me to get to where I am today and why I'm standing in front of you today. So I'm the CEO and Chief Brand Officer at Mojo Marketing Agency. We have our agency business. So we have a bunch of clients where we turnkey all of their marketing and do everything for them. And then we have our training and coaching side of it where I do more things like this, where we train. We're launching our first workshop next the 4th. We're doing an all-day workshop on brand blueprint stuff to help people do that. And so I found a way to leverage what I really want to do, but without giving up my family, which was important to me, and being able to do that. And the reason why I tell you a little bit of background, because I want you to understand that when I'm sharing this stuff with you guys today, I'm coming from a place that, my brand purpose is to see more people achieve their dreams. Period. That's why I get up every day. That's what I do from our team and our staff, our clients. And in this room right here, you know what? Nothing will make me happier than somebody sends me a DM or a text or a message and says, hey, I heard your stuff like 3 months ago. Let me show you my before and after. Let me show you what I did. Let me show you how I've now crystallized my message, and I got a new client. And I help them through this. Like nothing makes me happier than hearing those success stories from people that actually do something. Because I know statistically speaking, most people, they don't do anything. They walk out of here, and this was a really good reality break for a while. Their head spins a little bit. We go back to doing our grind, and then, by a week, we're like, what was that dude talking about? Like something about personal. So when we talk about personal brand, and this is something I think every person in this room has to create. It's a real simple question, and is, what is it that you really want to see happen in the world? That you can be a part of impacting. And so for me, if I got to meet every single one of you individually, it didn't matter what it is, I'd want to know, what is your dream? Like, what is it that you really want to accomplish at this point in time? And then I want to find out how I can be a part of doing that. So that's where I come from today. And that's why I'm passionate about sharing what I'm sharing. I don't mean to be in your face. I don't want to come off insulting. But I want you to have to face the fact that if you want to be, and if you want to do some of the things that you say that you want to do, then there's some things you got to do to change that. But the good news is, you're in the driver's seat. Like I always tell people, listen, the good news is success is a choice. The bad news is so is failure. But today, I believe that in this room, you guys are going to hear this information, you're going to take it, and you're going to want to go with it and grow with it. So let me just jump in. Here's how we're going to build your personal brand. The first thing is, let's understand the buyer's journey. How we have to put ourselves in front of people, it always starts with awareness. In other words, right now, some of you are amazing. Enough people just don't know that. So we've got to put out content and information to make sure that we can put you in the best light. Awareness. So they go, oh, that's who she is. Oh, that's what he does. I never realized that. See, some of you think every person on your Facebook friend list knows exactly what you do. You think that because a couple times a year you post a little thing with your customer and it says, just closed. And they're supposed to connect the dots. But they don't. So we go through the first phase of awareness. Then it's going, we got to get them to consider us. How do they do that? We got to provide meaningful content that helps them understand that you teach and you train and you talk about. You are a wealth of knowledge to them. And they have access to tap in it. And the third step is, then we just put stuff in front of them that helps them make the decision. Free consultation, free CMA, free coffee meeting that helps, I'll come and tell you what you need, free staging, free whatever that gets you face to face with them. And we take them through this journey. Now, in the top right-hand corner, excuse me, I say this is the number one mistake people make when they run ads and why most of our clients tell us the ads didn't work for them. Most people, when they run an ad, they jump to number 3 and they say, here's my sales pitch, pick me. Here's your sales pitch. Like, hold on a second, I don't even know who you are. I don't even know what you do. I'm not even sure that you're the right person. I don't have any confidence in you. Now, for my single people in the room, like this is relevant, you're going to know this. For all of us old married people in this room, you got to think way back. But this is like being at the club at the end of the night. And somebody walks up to you and they give you number 3, which is the pitch on what's going to happen next. And you're like, slow your roll. I don't know who you are. I don't know what you do. I don't know if I want to be connected to you. There's a process that we need to go through. Now some of you condense the process into one night. That's fine. I'm trying to teach my oldest daughter who's 18 years old, like that first phase is like 10 years. You got to dig deep. You got to understand. And then when you want to think about respect and trust, you got to get into understanding their history. Dad will make a phone call. Let's pull some credit. Let's look at some bank statements. Let's look at some history. Let's do an analyzation here because we got to make sure if we're going to take that next step. And as funny as that is, I'm just being facetious, kind of. But that's what we do when we market. So when you throw in my face all the time listing, or hey, you want me to list your house, or hey, do you know anybody that, hey, if that's all I'm getting from you, like nobody else, you don't want that to happen to you. You want people to take you through the process. So it's important that if we're going to get attention, which that is the game, you have to get people's attention. People have to know you exist. Then we got to take them through the process. Let me take one more step in this process. So when we do this, and Mike came up front, Mike, we call him our ad whisperer. So whenever anybody has problems with their Facebook ads and they won't work, and now with the new algorithms with Facebook and real estate stuff, I'm always like, Mike, stuff ain't working. Facebook's rejected my stuff. I need you to go whisper and fix it, go make it happen. But here's what Mike taught me in this process. He said, here's how we run our ads for our clients. He said, awareness, this means we're going to send a brand video to our target market, right? And let's just say we're going to get 10,000 people to see that brand video. Then, or 10,000 people see it, but only 1,000 people actually watched it 100%. So then we go to step 2, we pull out this teaching video of content, of substance, of you doing your thing, and then we take that and we retarget those 1,000. We say, cool, all right, 1,000, you're in it. And from that 1,000, then there was 100 of them that watched that. So then we went down to the last one and we fed that group, hey, here's a free opportunity to come and work with us. And we take them through that process. And then we come back and we retarget the top group, the 9,000 that didn't watch it, with another. And we go through that process. But it's tedious. But that's why most people don't get any results when it comes to their ad strategies, because they don't know how to do it. But that's the process that you have to go through. All right? So here's what we do. Oh, hold on, I forgot to say. So I used to have this slide in every time. It's called TOMA, top of mind awareness. You got to stay top of mind. You got to stay top of mind. And I still believe that. The problem with this is you can't stay top of mind with junk. You can't stay top of mind with meaningless stuff. In fact, gosh, I switched up some slides. I'm like, I think one slide's going to be here, and it's not. And I'm like, I'm jacked up today. But so I don't know what this next slide's going to be, but here's what I'm going to tell you. You've got to provide meaningful stuff. You got to wow your clients. You just can't put anything in front of them to take them through that process. So here's where we start. It's called the Brand Blueprint. It's a 25-page document that walks you completely through everything within your brand. Some of it you already know and some of you don't. In this Brand Blueprint, what we do is we work through 4 phases. One, and I'm going to go through each one of these individually so you don't have to try to race and write it down. I'm going to go with it individually. Is your brand clarity. We got to clarify all the messages within that. 2, then we got to decide, what will your marketing strategy actually be? What's the marketing strategy? You guys know right now, every single day you get bombarded with new marketing ideas and strategies. Do this on Instagram, do this on LinkedIn, and do this over here, and your head's spinning. You're like, I just don't know. We boil that down to make sure that you know exactly what your strategy is. And here's what I will tell you. You build that strategy, and for the next 6 to 12 months, do not change it. With our clients, one of the things that we've started to do is say, hey, we are, as an agency, we're your no guy, right? So when something comes that looks all wonderful and fancy, send it to us, we'll vet it, and then we'll tell them no. Now, if it's really good, we'll say, man, that's amazing. Let's file that so that we can stay true to what we've already decided we're going to do. Let's do it, test it, tweak it later. But so many people are just jumping around on so many different things that your strategy never gets really implemented. Third thing we do is we think, well, what collateral do we actually need to make this come to life? And then the last thing we do is we create a brand execution strategy. How will we actually execute it? Okay? So let me break each one of these things down for you, okay? All right, first thing, brand clarity. In your brand clarity, it is important, essential, that you address 3 things. 1, your brand purpose, which I already tackled on. 2, what is your brand vision? Like if we were having this conversation, Steve, next year, we said, okay, 1 year from today, we put it in place, and this time, now we're having the conversation, what did you accomplish with your brand? I'll tell you what ours is. I launched this marketing agency 6 months ago. So we're 6 months into our marketing agency. We got, 20 clients or whatever we have, which is great. But our vision is for me, as the leader and the face of the organization, the personal brand, is to be the most recognizable and respected personal brand guy in the city. So our goal as a team is that if somebody's having a conversation about personal brand and what to do next, they're like, hey, go check out Travis's YouTube. Go hit his Facebook. He's putting out content all the time. Go watch that. If you're going to hire somebody, you hire this guy and his entire team, because nobody does it better. Now, being transparent, we are not that today. because we just built out our strategy and our plan, and now we're going through implementation. And for those of you that will follow any of my social media, which is down that right-hand corner, you'll start to see it unpack and unfold. Oh, that kind of video. Okay, that's what he was talking about. One of the best things you can do is just watch, because a lot of the things from today, it's going to start making sense when you see it. So that's ours, right? Some of our clients that we're working with, and we have, I think our largest real estate client, their team did 300 transactions last year. We have $75 million client, we have a $50 million real estate client, and down to about 15 million. Our agency business, we believe in that avatar is probably somebody $15 million and above, based upon the investment. But all of them were crafting this right here, the brand vision. Secondly, then what is the brand message? What's your name, ma'am? Emily. What is it?
Burford.
And Emily, who do you work with?
I'm with Indie Havens at Pet Collective.
Okay, perfect. Oh, Mark's an old buddy of mine.
Yeah.
When I think about going out to talk to anybody about Emily, you should already have, here's what I want people to say about me. Here's what I want them to know. Here's what I want them to think and feel. And when you put that on paper, then you start putting out content that supports that. So ours is pretty simple. Like, I believe that every person in here and outside of here that's in business, they got a dream or a vision or a goal. But there's a caveat to that, because most people have a piece of it that they go, I just don't know if this will ever going to come true. And what we want our brand message to be is when you're at that spot, you call us, because we have a unique value proposition, team resources to help you make that come true. Now, nobody knows that about us until we start telling that story. And that's the path that we're on to do, even for us. So everything I'm talking about today, you watch all of our stuff, you'll see it. And you'll see it in evolutions of change and getting better, all the way down the line. But every person in here has to have the brand vision, the brand message, and my favorite is the signature quote. And that is like, if you're going to stamp who you are and what you believe and what you're about, what is that? Mine, I love helping people achieve things they never thought possible. See, now when you start seeing some of those things, then you start hearing my message, seeing what I'm talking about, getting to know me, you're like, yep, okay, now I get it. But this is a process. And I believe the number one most important thing that you should do for your business is determine your brand purpose, your brand vision, and your brand message. Listen, do not do anything else until you figure that out. Don't do it, because it will be a waste. Don't call us and say, hey, would you run our social media? Nope. Don't call us and say, hey, would you make a video for it? What's your brand purpose? What's your brand message? I'm telling you, it's that important that you do that, okay? All right, so then you take that message and you decide, well, who's my perfect avatar? Who's my perfect audience? Remember in the beginning I said, just because your service is for anyone, it shouldn't be marketed to, everyone. That means you have a niche group of people that are going to respond. And since you only need 36, not 136, 336, you're just trying to find the 36 that it's going to work with. So if I was your avatar to buy a house, I was telling, what's your name? Jada. Steve and Jada, that I live in the Geist area, and if we were your avatar, like you could start going, what's our age range? Are we married? Kids age, education. Now it does say college plus because I included my wife in that. See, between my wife and I, we got 2 degrees. She's got them both, but I'm just saying, right? Incidentally, I've spent probably 5 times the amount of money on education as she has, even with her 2 degrees, but that's a whole nother story, all right? But I can go all the way down the line and go, look at all these things. Look at all these details about my client. I should know what they watch and what they do. And I'm telling you, a good friend of mine, her name is Kinsey Kittle. And I don't know if anybody knows Kinsey. She's an Instagram influencer. She's got around 20,000 people. I did a co-training with her one day. And I was asking her this, and she was walking through, like, she knows her avatar so well that she's like, I know what they eat and they drink and they sleep and what they watch and what they do. I'm like, maybe start thinking, like, how detailed do I know this avatar? Because I know who's going to respond to the message. I know who's not. Like, I'll give you a simple one we do. Like, influence, we always say, it's not on this screen right here, but who are they influenced by? See, I know this. Anybody that follows Gary Vee if we push content to those people, they're going to like it, right? Because I'm tame compared to Gary, right? So they'll like it. If you like Tom Ferry's stuff, then you'll like our stuff. So watch this. I can run ads to all those demographics with the caveat is that they have to have liked Tom Ferry or Gary Vee's page. If they don't put our information in front of them. Because they're already primed to consume what we're talking about. See, that's how detailed that we want to get. I mean, think about that. All the way down to what do they watch? We watch This Is Us and Grey's and Million Little Things and like those are. There's a way to connect with people that do that. Preferred social media, knowing their preferred social media. We'll talk about this in the strategy. Just out of curiosity, I'm curious to know this. What is your preferred, like your number one social media source? Instagram, LinkedIn, or Twitter. So if you are first and foremost, like if you could only pick one, your one would be Facebook. Raise your hand. Okay, put your hands down. If it's the gram, raise a hand. Okay, we got some grammars in here. Cool. LinkedIn. Like 3 people have heard of LinkedIn. That's cool. All right. All right, now watch this, okay? Here's what I'm going to do this, right? So I want everybody to grab their phones real quick. All right, so all of my social media right here, Travis Drayden Brown, Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn. I want you to go to your favorite source, whichever one that is, and I want you just to follow. Like, follow, so you can engage. Because I'm going to put out a lot of follow-up information about this and our content and our strategy, and this will give you an easy way to connect and engage, right? Now, if you're looking at those 3 icons and you don't even know what they are, just come up and see me afterwards. We'll help you out. Okay? We will help you out. But this is important because you got to figure out how do I stay in the game after today and continue to get more information and more content, right? But what I'm telling you is that once you understand your audience, then that's where you provide the majority of your content for them. So right now we know if we're running realtor marketing, and Mike, I know you're making the mental note on this, but when we're running marketing, paid ads for our realtor side of our business, we should never run it to LinkedIn because you guys have never heard of it apparently. Now, some of you heard of it. I know you've heard of it, but it's not where you consume it, right? But here's the thing. If we're running stuff to real estate agents, we should send it where? Facebook. With fastly approaching growing Instagram. But think about that right there. Because if you had $500, let me get an easy number, $300, and you're going to spend 100 on the gram, 100 on Facebook, and 100 on LinkedIn, but those demographics that we just showed are your audience, then you're wasting $200. Take all 300 and put it in the one where people are going to connect and engage. That's why part of brand clarity is so important, to understand your audience. And if you don't understand the audience, then you don't do this correctly, right? So brand clarity, understand your audience, right? Second strategy, what is your marketing going to look like? All right, these are the 4 things that you got to consider in all of your marketing, right? Video, written, graphic, and photo. So let me just give you some insight. The number one most important thing that you need as a real estate agent, in my humble but accurate opinion, is a brand video. And a brand video is your signature piece that says who you are, what you do, and how you do it. Now, there's a lot of ways that you can do a brand video, right? Full disclosure, we have a video team program. We do them, yes. But you don't have to pay the $3,500 that it costs to do it with us. You can figure out a way to do it in a more cost-effective way. But after your brand message, I think the brand video is the next most important thing. Because if you call Mike and say, hey, Mike, I want you to help me build some Facebook strategies, that awareness, consideration thing, I want to do that thing. Mike, what's the first thing you're going to ask for? And then, well, if they don't have a brand blueprint, the first piece of content you need to do that. First thing he's going to say is, okay, we're going to start that awareness with your brand video. And you say, well, I don't have that. And then we say, well, then we can't start with you. Because you got to be able to tell your story. Now, let me explain this to somebody. Good done is better than perfect. So if you had to take your iPhone and get your little, what's that called? The light? Ring light, right? And get your iPhone out there and do that. Like, you can do that. I'm not telling you you can't do that. What I'm telling you is that people have to hear your message, your story. Now, if there's a place to make it look really sharp, professional, that's a space that you want to do that. Now, I don't think that you should produce all of your videos, but I do think you should produce the brand video. So if you start thinking about teaching videos or strategy, Q&As, all that kind of stuff is important, and you can do all those with your iPhone or invest in a camera and do it, but start with your brand video. Yes?
How long is the brand video?
Good question. So the answer to that depends where you're going to put it, which depends on your audience. So if the answer is Instagram, who can tell me how long that video should be? 30 seconds, max a minute, right? Now you could put it on an Instagram TV and carry it over. That's a different strategy, but 1 minute. We do our brand videos between 2 and 3 minutes because most of our people's target audience is not on Instagram. Then we shorten it and we also do a 1 minute teaser version of that also. So then we have both. That's the real answer, okay? All right, so then we get into our written content, blogs, mini blogs, text statements, questions. We get into graphics, quotes, testimonials, process, all that stuff. Photos, thought leader quotes. Like these are all the types of content that you got to consider of putting out, right? And so this is the slide I was looking for earlier. Hold on 1 second. This is the slide I was looking for earlier, and I said, you know what? When you're putting out that content, these are 5 questions I want you to ask yourself, and it has to meet one of them. Number 1, does this content entertain me? Now, if you're super entertaining and like you're charismatic and you do crazy, fun, silly stuff and jump off stuff, the break stuff, like if you want to do it, cool. Like it can be entertaining, like, right? If you can do effects where stuff is blowing up and fire and all this kind of stuff, that will gain attention and it will entertain people. Now, I do not have that personality. That is not my skill set. And most likely, unless one of these 3 guys in this room post-produce something with After Effects of me doing what I'm doing right now, and they start putting it out, which is a possibility, then you're probably not going to see me doing the crazy stuff. You know, but if you're an agent and you want to stand out in front of a pool in this month and say, hey, it's pool opening season is 2 months away, don't forget to do that. Hey, and you jump in the pool and you get out and you go, oh, it is chilly, but you could do that. I'm not going to do that. Okay? If that's your personality, entertain. Teach. Even if you only have 10 of them on there. I mean, think about that. Think about the home buying process and the 82 steps that it takes from the first conversation to getting them pre-approved, to showing them a house, to writing an offer, to the home inspection. Like those are all teaching pieces of content. And every single one of you should have your version of it out there. Because you might put out this, I might give you guys those same 10 topics and all 10 people in a room all do the same exact 10, but it's going to sound different and look different. And I'm going to engage with somebody that I feel like I connect with. But newsflash, if you don't have it out there, they can't connect with you, right? So yes, build a content strategy, create your content calendar, create social media management platform. We use Simplified Social. Our head of marketing, she created it. It's phenomenal. Built all the templates, and I got to get some demo in there just to see that because I don't do it any justice. We looked at Sprout and Hoot and all that kind of stuff, and she built this thing. It's phenomenal. But you got to have something that you can push out content, load it up today. Our belief is you should post 1 piece of content a day. So that's 7 pieces of content in a week. You load it up on a Sunday, and it pushes it out throughout the week, right? If you are trying to figure out let's say today's Wednesday, and I need to post something today, and I'm like, all right, what am I going to post today? And I'm trying to pull content today, come up with something today, that will stress you out, frustrate you, and will never be very consistent. So you want to have some type of software that you can load it up, push it out, okay? And then in engagement, you want to engage with people. This is another reason why it's important to kind of try to own one social media platform so you can engage and you can post and you can comment and you can like and you can send some people DMs and just being active with whichever one that you like the best. All right? So that's kind of the social media side of it. Couple things you got to think about. So this is Facebook. If we ran that post, I have 25,000 plus people on my Facebook page. I posted something organically and got 119 reach. Now it may have got more after that or whatever, but it's 25,000 people and 119 people saw it. So for those of you who haven't figured out the algorithm, Zuck said, you know what, I'm not going to let you use my platform and run your business for free. You're going to have to pay to play. So then over here, we run an ad, put a little bit of dollars behind it, and all of a sudden we have 20,000 plus people that have seen that video. So if you want 100 people to see it or 20. Now, people always ask me, what is the ROI of brand social media? I don't have a great answer for that. Here's what I can tell you though. If 100 people watch my video and I'm trying to pull through whatever percentage versus 20,000 people watch it, my odds are a lot better that I'm going to find the client if 20,000 people watch it. Now, you got to track some of that with different things, but at the end of the day, Facebook's going to make you pay to play. Same thing on the gram, 108 versus 3,000, and the difference is whether or not you're going to put some money or spend behind it, okay? Newsflash, these little, are you sleeping on LinkedIn, or why we start everything with a digital audit, like those are the type of videos that you're going to be able to find on our YouTube where you can actually see some of that type of stuff. Do you have a question?
Yeah. What was your spend to go from 100?
I think probably back then it was probably $10 a day for 30 days or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. Mike.
So you went back and retargeted every.
Actually, I think that actual screenshot was from still the awareness phase, because all we were doing at that point in time with that particular video was just awareness. Just get out there, let people see kind of this is what we do. I bet if we actually pulled it now, it's probably double that. And then we would retarget behind that with other micro content.
Right. And then as far as the gram, did you target that as a promotional ad, or did you target that through, did you use that spend through influencers?
No, that is not influencer spend. That's just pushing that out to a targeted audience that we wanted to put the message in front of. Influencers is an interesting beast. I'll tell you, I haven't really figured out that market yet. We'll probably spend some time. It's on our map for 2020 to figure out how to do a better job working with influencers. But you got to have the right influencers, because they can get you views and they can get you more engagement, but you want to pick the right ones based upon your demographic. So for example, I threw out, and I get absolutely zero from this, but if you sought out Kinsey Kittle, who has a demographic very similar to yours, who has 20,000, very targeted towards women. She does that like to know it thing and all that stuff, and she's paid by all those people. She could be a great avatar to influence you if you had the same type of demographic. But that's important. I have a friend of mine who's a YouTuber. They got 350,000 subscribers. You know, understanding his demographic on YouTube and why we would use him versus her, depending on what we're trying to accomplish. So, good question though. All right, traditional marketing is not dead. There's a couple simple things. One, you can look at magazines, events, networking, all that kind of stuff. Here's the thing. If you came to us and you said, I got X dollar to spend, should I put it in this versus that? Matter of fact, we had this over the client the other day. We were talking about, he's going to farm a neighborhood, wants to farm a neighborhood, and we were taking the conversation around $500 of ad spend versus $500 in postcards. And that we mapped out a strategy specifically for this agent in a neighborhood in Fishers, and talked about the differences of what you would do between those two different things. It's hard for us to wrap our mind around, you know, I think it had 7 houses in that neighborhood versus what I could do with $500 of spend and what I can put that in front of people and what I can get. Now the best answer is the three letter word called and. It's not or. And so really that's what we landed on. Let's test this. Let's test this with a free call to action and see what our engagement looks like. So sometimes that's the answer to doing some of these traditional things. The magazine stuff, I mean, there's a place for it. It's expensive, hard to track, but I'm not saying it doesn't work. One of our clients is Chris Shuloff. They did $70 million last year or whatever. And he's done the Fishers, the Geist magazines for 15 years. And I can't look at a guy and say, hey, I know you did $70 million last year. Let's not do those 3 magazines that you do all the time for the last 20 years. We're not recommending that. Now, do we want to clean it up, look at it, different call to actions, driving it to other places, leveraging online, all that? Yeah. And so it becomes a little bit different to look at it that way. Okay. All right, here's a couple of what I call mojo factors, some cool things that you should consider doing. Number one, speaking in your area of niche. For example, if empty nesters is your group, right? Where can I go and stand in a room like this with a bunch of potential empty nesters or their kids, walk them through the process of what it takes to downsize, right size, all that kind of stuff, share that with them, one to many. Like, I didn't go through this, but you on the avatar, we have two main avatars for our business. One avatar is CEO entrepreneurs with companies that are between 500,000 and 5 million. That's an avatar for us, and we do a certain level of marketing for our agency over there. Our second avatar are real estate agents. But now we know for our agency business, our avatar starts at 15 million because of the price points that we go through with the $3,500 brand blueprint, the $3,000 digital rebuild, all that stuff, right? So we know that's our avatar for that product. But we also know we have an avatar that for our workshop, that's a $300 workshop that will walk you through and leave with a 26-page brand blueprint. We know that that price point is a real estate agent that's from zero, meaning that they haven't got their license yet, up to $15 million, because everybody that's serious about their business can invest $300. So we understand the differences in our avatars. So in a room like this, or I did this at KW yesterday and a couple other places, or I've done Remax recharges and things like that, it's a different purpose, but getting it on a stage, I call this a stage, of one to many is different. I mean, think about it. I see you have your Remax on right there. What Remax?
Advance
okay.
from the west side.
Okay, awesome. So Remax Advance right here. Well, if he saw me at Recharge, which is a Remax event that they do, and he walked into the little marketplace, and me and Mike and Jeremiah were sitting there. We had a little banner up that said, "Hey, pick me," right? I'm an advertiser, right? I'm a vendor, okay? He comes to my session that I do there that had 200 people in it, and I'm doing this. I'm not a vendor anymore. I'm a person of authority. Now I'm somebody that they want to learn from, and I'm providing value to them. So real quick, it changes the perception of the same person. So when we start talking about speaking, I would also say this too. If you're going to put up a display at some place, my thing is I will never have a booth if I am not speaking, because I already know the perception difference. Someone's like, well, you could come and present and put your booth up and talk to all right. No, if I'm speaking, I'll do that. And my speaking fee is $5,000 local or $10,000 if I have to leave Indianapolis. And I'm like, well, we can work out some type of trade or do something like that. That's fine, but I'm not going to do that without it, because I understand the value of what speaking does and how it changes people's perception of you once you're able to share your knowledge. See, most of you in here, which is really cool for me, I don't think I'd met any person in this room agent-wise before today. And so I'm like, well, that's awesome, because nobody really knew my message. You might have watched a video or stalked me online or something before then, but whatever your opinion was when you came in here today, it's going to be different when you leave. Because now I've been able to share for an hour and 15 minutes knowledge that helps you with your business. And that's what speaking does. If you've never consumed my book, I wrote a book a couple years ago at R4 called Your Next Deal. It's a book I wrote for real estate agents, talking about some of this stuff in a 2 years ago format, right? That I put in a book and I wrote. My new book, how to build your personal brand, and we hope to have done here in the next 90 days, depending on how good Demi is back there. She's working on writing that. That's her job. And the third thing is vodcast. Vodcast is an opportunity to elevate your brand. We call it vodcast, meaning video podcast. We shoot it with cameras and video. We take the video, we play it on YouTube in its long form so you can watch all of those. We chop up all the pieces. Now we have content to put out that is engaging or inspiring and interesting, right? So just those three things, what we call the mojo factors, because it helps you grow faster than anything else. But they're all big investments, and quite frankly, for a lot of people down the road. However, with speaking, if you know your niche, you can get in front of people easily and share your knowledge, okay? All right, last two phases, brand collateral. So now we got our marketing strategy down. Now we got to deal with what do we need to make ourselves look the part, right? This is a lot of stuff. I'll show you some images of this, but we go creative assets, logos and signatures, your headshots, your personal brand video, like all that stuff, you do have to look the part. For those of you that work for big brand companies, they have some good stuff to start with. It doesn't allow you to often customize some of that stuff to put some of your signatures on there, but I would look to do that as soon as possible. Traditional print, we do a thing called a preheat, which is a kind of a 4 to 5 page thing that we have agents actually send before you go and show up for your listing presentation. Because if somebody is going to refer you, what you want to do is control the information that they see first. So if I send in my brand video, that's the first video they watch. If I send in my preheat, which is that 4-page document about who I am and what I do, that's what they consume first. They're less likely then to go out and see what they search and find online. I've at least controlled that initial engagement. So when we start thinking about collateral, we start talking about what stuff am I going to put out first. And then all your digital stuff, your LinkedIn headers and your quote photos and all that stuff is definitely a part of all of that. And you have to spend a little bit of time thinking about what I want that to look like as your overall brand. Okay, it's part of our brand kit that we do. And I just giving you a quick glance, like you want it to feel like, this is one of our financial advisor clients, like you look at that and you're like, okay, I don't know who that guy is and what he does, but it looks good. It looks like it all matches and supposed to go in the right places and all that kind of stuff. If you look at stuff that we've built over the last few months, like, okay, here's our color palettes and here's our headers and here's our, our preheat, and here's all this stuff. Okay, it looks good, right? One of my old, probably my longest standing client, Drew Keller, we've done his stuff for years. Like we built his tagline, his signature, all his stuff out. It looks good, right? Brand videos, we just did Chris's video. One of our loan officer clients, Brad, those are brand videos. Mine at the bottom are more teaching videos where now we're just packaging up content. We'll put something like this on the screen or maybe a header so that we can put that out. Well, that's all part of your brand kit of stuff that you have to be able to put out. But remind, just as a quick note, remember, this is down the road, because if you don't have your brand message down, then you don't need to mess with this yet. Now, if you do have that messaging down, and maybe you are in this phase, and now you need to tackle some of these things, okay? And then it brings you to the last thing, which is brand execution. And really, these are the phases, right? That who's going to help you with your message? I don't have that on there, but once you get past your message, then who's going to build all of your collateral? Who's going to go in and rebuild all of your stuff to make it look awesome? And then who's going to help you with your ongoing? And what you have to do is decide, I can do that. Like, this is something that I can do. This is something I cannot do. And knowing the difference. Every business that's represented in here has a dollar amount that you can invest for your business. Whether that dollar amount's $100 a month or $10,000 a month, every business only has so much. So you got to decide what's priority and what things can you do versus what things you need to outsource to somebody else. For those of you that work at some of the big brands in the city, like if you're KW, what does Command have? What does Bouge have? What do those platforms actually have that maybe you can tap into? And if you can tap into some of those, then you don't have to invest in those things. You can use your resources outside of that. But ultimately, it's about deciding which one of those things happen first. So as I told you in the beginning, once you get to this point, and we're going to open up for some Q&A here in a minute, you're trying to figure this out, where am I at? Like, I can do it all on my own. Like, I can manage my business and do it all on my own. B, I got to have some more ongoing help, and there's a lot of ways that you can get ongoing help. Like, you can be a Google. I mean, if you want YouTube, and you can get a lot of knowledge being able to do that. In some cases, the transition is difficult to figure out how do I get it from YouTube to actually showing up on my stuff. But some of you have the knack to do that, and some of you don't. And some of you just go, listen, I ain't doing it. Lady walked up to me yesterday going, I'll pay the $15,000 gladly because I ain't doing it, right? I said, okay, cool, right? But my point is that's where you have to really understand this. So one of the opportunities we're going to have for you guys is next, what day is that? Tuesday, the 4th. I'm going to do an all-day training on the brand blueprint, okay? And this is where we're going to take that 26 pages. You're going to come into that meeting, and on your desk right there is going to be a blank 26 pages of the brand blueprint. That workshop runs from 9 to 4. We'll be there all day long. going through answering all those questions so that you can walk out on the back side of it going, I've got this form, or I got these 26 pages, I got my chicken scratches all written out with everything that I've learned today, and you're having somebody help you walk through that process to fill in every single one of those gaps and those bullet points. Now, just so you understand, this is not a free event. This is $300. It's $300 that you would have to invest in your business to be with me and 25 other people, our entire team in there, walking you through this process. This kind of gives you a snapshot of some pieces of my brand blueprint, but this is basically what I'm carving out going through the entire thing. The reason why we created this brand blueprint was because if somebody came to us and said, hey, we want you to run our marketing, we have to have that information to do it. And so we built a whole program around teaching people how to get that information. So we charge $3,500 for real estate agents. We charge $5,000 for CEOs and entrepreneurs to have me do it. So you come in with our team. It's a 3-session process. It's $5,000. What I quickly realized is that for some real estate agents that were they were in a box where they're going, they wanted to do this, they wanted to figure out, but they weren't in a situation that they could invest that much money to do it. So we created a 1-day workshop, said, hey, listen, they got to invest $300. If they're unwilling to invest $300, there's not much we can help them, but this will help them, give them that brand blueprint. We'll go through 25 pages of that right there with all the execution strategy and everything like that built out. Our entire team will be there. At least most of our entire team will be there, walking the room, because I'll teach for a little bit, then you'll work on that stuff for a couple minutes, and then we'll come around, because the whole idea is that you're getting the knowledge that you need. And this is really for only the people that go, I know that I need to help doing it, because some of you feel like you can do it without it. That's okay. We want the people that go, I really want to do this, I just know I can't do it on my own, and I'm willing to invest a little bit of money in it. So we'll have our team there that all have very specific things for that. So again, that event, Mike, you have those forms. Just pass those forms out. It's $300. You fill out the form today. We have 25 spots for it. Well, not even that, because we had some that for KW yesterday. I'm doing one more of these between now and then. We'll take the first 25 spots to do it. If you want to go online, it's mojoup.com/workshop, or Mike's going to fill out that form. You can fill it out today, and you can give him all your information to do that. So last thing is simply this, is I'm going to hang around. It's 5 minutes till 11. I don't know if this was set for an hour and a half or 2 hours, but I'm going to stand here. So a couple things. One, I'm doing Q&A. That's all we're going to do now, to take specific questions that you have about what you've heard today, that you're still trying to figure out or process in your head. I'll stand here until the last person asks their last question. If you're like, man, I'm overloaded, I'm ready to dip already, I'm ready to leave, make sure at least you turn in your audit form so you can get your free digital audit for that. And then for those of you that want to come to the workshop, fill that out, give that information back to Mike or Demi on our team. So I'll start taking questions now. Yes?
How often do you do those workshops?
Oh, great question. This is the first one we've done. And I told you the reason why we did it is because we have 20 clients that have paid X dollar, and there's a lot of other people we felt like we could help. I had to do it in scale, so this is our first one we've done. What we're looking at doing in March actually is doing our video training. So it'll be just like this, an all-day workshop, but it'll be around video, not on the brand blueprint. And we're thinking about just kind of taking people through that, that progress. I do these for free. I have more of these set up where I do this one, the hour and a half, for free. But that knowledge, as far as all day long and walking through that will be a part of our paid events. So I don't know the answer to that. As of right now, we don't have another one planned, but I'm sure we will at some point. Yes?
My question is, how do you balance branding me versus branding me with a company?
Yeah. So here's a great question for those who didn't hear. The question is, how do I balance branding me versus, I'm going to insert something she didn't say, my team or my company, right? So who do you work with? Okay. A lot of cases where companies are in a scenario, especially if you work at one of the bigger companies, you got your name, your team name, and then you got to put the company logo on there as well. And it gets definitely overwhelming. So understand my bias here for a second, and that is the personal brand drives the company brand, right? Personal brand is the new company brand. So that's my bias, okay? So what I'm saying is what's your name? Christina. I want to get to know you first, and the fastest way to build connection is going to be with you more than the team. Now, you can put the team on there or the company on there, and you should, but if you had a personal page, like a Facebook page, and a company page, I would build the personal. I'm not talking about your personal profile. I'm talking about if you did a Travis Brown Realtor page, I'm going to build that first, right? If I'm on LinkedIn, I'm going to build mine first and then my company second, okay? Because I believe that people are going to engage with you first. Now, you can incorporate the company story in it, but I'm just saying it's your face, it's your brand. Now, somebody goes, hey, I got a team. There's not one person, it's a team name. And so you want to lead with Team Mojo, and that's your real estate company. Here's why this is a challenge. People don't connect with Team Mojo as well as they connect with Travis Brown. So I told you what our strategy is for me to be the most recognizable and respected personal brand guy in the city. Because if that happens, our company grows. So we're spending our investment first and foremost in getting me on stages, giving me opportunities, writing my book, speaking more, all those, we're doing my vodcast, all that stuff is Travis Brown. But I only make money really one way, and that's our company business. So my answer, biased, is that way because I think that it's easier and it's what we're doing as well. So good question. Yes. I think right now I'm not, I shouldn't even use this excuse. I was going to say I'm not young enough to figure it out, but that's not really the excuse. I haven't spent enough time doing it, and here's why. I know that my current client base is not on it. And here's the thing, that doesn't excuse me for never doing it, but our focus right now is building our LinkedIn presence and ramping up our Instagram. So because of that, I've not yet got to that TikTok and try to figure out. The other thing is, it takes a lot of personality and a lot of fun from what I've seen to do it, and that's so anti-me. So we're gonna have a team of people try to figure out what can we do to be relevant on TikTok. Because here's the thing, it's gonna have its time, and I don't know what that's going to look like. I mean, if you listen to Gary Vee, you think that's the only thing that's out there is TikTok, and it might be. And I might be a late adopter because I'm not jumping on it now, but I'm gonna start now with what I can control, what I do know how to do, and then try to figure out how to learn how to gravitate into that. Good question. Next. Is that it? Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So this is a pretty specific question, but with Facebook ads and paid ads now, especially with the fair housing,
It sucks.
It really sucks. So do you recommend, I don't think there's a workaround to do it. Obviously we want to be above board of how it works, but what is some recommendations for that? Because I feel like I used to really be able to target who my clients were in my, my avatar, and now I can't.
Yeah, I wish I had a great answer for that because we're actually struck. We run a couple client stuff, and we're getting hit on that too. And Mike is, I don't know how many calls Mike has had with Facebook, just on the phone with them trying to figure out this ad is it meets your advertising requirements. It's and 25 mile radius doesn't really help us. So we're testing some stuff. I mean, if you want to check back in about 30 days, I can tell you a little bit more.
Yeah.
That's the best answer I have,
Okay.
but it's difficult. Even we're testing things like if I wanted to hit a woman audience, can I add the tagged feature of lifetime? Anybody that's liked the page lifetime, and can I then drill down my audience based upon that tag? And can I get around something based upon a group that I know that we're going to based upon some and features, and we're struggling with figuring that out. So I don't have a great answer for that.
My other question is about Instagram and then moving from a personal to an influencer to a professional page is, do you have a preference on those? Do you recommend everybody do? Because we can look at, can't link your personal account to an,
Well, I definitely think you have to have a business account so that you can run ads. And if you're running ads, and running ads meaning pushing content out and putting it in front of your people. So you definitely gotta be able to do that. So making that switch into a account, everybody should go home today and do that. And it's easy. It's a switch. It's not like you have to go build out a new page to do it. It's like it's yes. I would do that because again, now a lot of it depends on how you're going to run the gram though, because like if your whole purpose is I want to have these super high professional polished pictures in your feed, but yet you're in your personal world, you still want to do so much of your family, your day to day, then that's kind of hard to do. What I think Mike would recommend is that your feed is pretty clean, but your stories is what's happened on an everyday basis. So like you would have shot this today from your story saying, hey, it was so much fun to kind of come and learn, I'm doing this, always trying to learn and grind and figure that out. That's a story post, not a feed post, because you're going to keep your feed looking the way you want when people land on it.
Okay.
Probably an easy answer, yeah.
So just a workaround for your earlier question, what I've done is I would download like a specific list from a list vendor using whatever demographic you have for your avatar, and then you upload it as your custom audience in Facebook. It's not going to match all of them, unfortunately. It's going to match a percentage of it, but you're still able to target it. And once you start advertising to that group, then you can do a lookalike. You can only do a housing. It's a limited one, not the usual lookalike
Right.
because of the restrictions. But it still kind of works,
Yeah, that's
and
actually pretty good.
and then some of the detailed attributes you can still put, like Zillow, or if you're doing first-time home buyers, there's some attributes that they still
do,
allow. So you kind of still can play with those. But
Yeah.
that's what I've done to circumvent the whole. Right now, they're still allowing custom audience, so
That's
Yeah.
actually
take
a good
advantage
idea.
of that.
We need to.
It's so custom audience.
Yeah.
So the question was, it was a piggyback on the Facebook issue in fair housing and being able to run targeted ads. And the suggestion was one of the best things to do is Facebook is allowing your custom audiences, so that you can take your custom audience database that you currently have, or you can acquire one and you can do the same thing and upload it, and it gives you basically more freedom to run those ads versus when you're trying to run it in a targeted particular area. So.
Additional thing is that if you have if you can add as much attributes, like if you have as many phone numbers or
spreadsheet.
emails,
In a spreadsheet.
yeah, there are some vendors out there that would do the append. It's very cheap, just buy a certain number of credits. Then if you can append as many attributes, then Facebook is able to match as many Facebook profiles
that's
to your,
Okay.
That's good. Great input. Yes.
So, knowing that half of these things that's just been talked about, I didn't even know Instagram was called the gram. So, so if this blueprint
Yep.
to implementation of a custom strategy, what's a timeline?
So are you talking about if we're doing it? Yeah. So, so I'm just repeating the question because it's hard to hear from a microphone standpoint. We don't have one. I'm not using one. So the question was, what's the timeline that we take people on to actually build this out? And the timeline starts with, in a perfect scenario, is 30 days that we go through the brand blueprint process. It's normally 2 to 3 2.5-hour meetings where we sit down, we build that out, give you a version, build it out, give you a version. And then phase 1 of the blueprint is pretty bunny because, like you saw mine, has all your images and all your headers and all your graphics. Well, phase 2 is the brand kit. So then we go through and we come in, we do a creative meeting with our team. We bring 5 people to the table. We have our photographer, we have our videographer, we have our head of marketing and our head of graphic design. And then we have a feel and sense. We take that information, and over the course of 30 days, then we build out all of that collateral, right? And so once we have that done, then we go back to your blueprint and take all that collateral, build it in as a part of your blueprint in that next phase. Then the third phase is now we take that collateral and we go through your LinkedIn, your Facebook, your Instagram, your web, your Zillow, your homes.com, your realtor.com, and we take the new bios that we've created, the new headshots that we have, the new headers that we have, the videos, the preheats, and we put all of those in all the right places so now you look the part. So we look at it as a 90-day process to go from first meeting to having everything look built out. And honestly, what we tell our clients that go through that process is, if you go through that process at the end of 90 days, here's the good news: you look the part, right? So and this is very important, because if you never make another post for the rest of the year, and somebody goes through that, tags you on Facebook, they go to your page, They look, they're like, oh, wow, she's awesome. I watched their one brand video. One, this is it, one brand video. Their header looks good and the information is relevant, then you pass. Now, here's the thing. Organic social media is for one purpose only, to validate what people are coming to validate. Paid marketing strategy is to go get new customers and bring them in the door. So the reason why I say that is if you go through that process and then you end, all the validation of people that are just going to look for you, they're like, okay, they're legit. Now for them, people that raise their hand go, yeah, but I want to get aggressive because I have this niche and I want to go and I want to build a funnel of that niche and I want to build an ad and a sales page and a process to funnel new leads for that. That's the ongoing aggressive strategy after that 90 days. But we break into those 3 phases because some people want those 3 phases. The third phase for people, the digital reband. Some people feel like they're smart enough, sharp enough to go through and add all that stuff and build it all out. And they're not wrong. Some people are like, it's not worth my time to try to figure out all the spots. So like when I call it a digital rebuild. So I go on the Facebook page, right? And yeah, you start with the obvious, your URL or your handle, your page name, your header, your about page, like just that page right there. Then I go through your photo list and create playlists. Your photo list, then go into your videos, create playlists. I go into all the individual sections, and from that brand blueprint, I literally have it up on one screen. I'm just copying and pasting information. The difference is I know where those 22 places are in Facebook that you need to have that information that you might not have. Now, some people can just go and they do that on their own. It's not a big deal, right? But that's why we do that process that way. One of the forms that we have in our brand blueprint, and we just started doing this past month, is a form where we go through and we say, how are you going to name every one of your pages? Like, is it Travis Brown Real Estate, Team Brown, Travis Brown Realtor? Is it, and we go through that. What are all the handles going to be? So if you noticed, all my handles are the same. And the reason why it has my middle name in it, which I don't necessarily care for to be in there, is because I had to use that to be able to make all of my handles all across the lines. But here's a simple strategy, right? That's how I can put the Facebook, the actually I should put the Twitter on there too. No, because my Twitter is longer than that. I don't even know. The Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, I can do that with one image. We call that a social tag, that now you can put that on everything. But if all of your handles are different, then you got to have 3 different ones or 4 different ones. So it's just a little thing like that. So we build out a sheet. We go through all that process to make sure they're the same. And what if you go, well, I know my first name and last name is available on this one, but not on this one. Then we go to a specific name checker. Well, then I put in a new suggestion, tells me where we can have it, what that looks like, and then that's how we determine that. So that's something that's a part of the brand blueprint that we do that impacts everything else that we do. Yes, sir.
So how long do you support this, from, so you said, you established that for 90 days.
Yeah.
And how long do you kind of stay back with us to make sure we succeed?
It really depends on the individual. So we have 3 services that we offer. One's a brand management, where you pay us and we come to the table, we have a meeting, and all we do every single month is just give you strategy. 2, we do that, plus we actually still create all of your video, all of your content for you, and we post everything for you. 3, we also do that, but we also add in all of your ad stuff. So your sales, your ad funnel, we build out all of that, your ad spend, and we run all that for you. It's $1,500, $1,500, $1,500. So if you do all of it, it's $4,500. If you just want the first piece, then that's what that is. And we do that as long as a client wants us to. With our new software, we're going to come out with a new package that allows us to do that, build a template out for you, and then ultimately turn it over to you based upon when you feel like you can watch what we've been doing long enough to feel like this is the process, this is what they're doing, and I'm comfortable doing that. So it's really about what somebody's, because it's not, investing $4,500 a month it's not inexpensive. That's a significant investment for somebody. It makes sense for some people and it doesn't. So good question though. Yeah.
I want you to make me better than my neighbor.
Is Chris your neighbor?
He's my neighbor.
Well, the answer to that is just if you open a checkbook. Yeah. I mean that's what and that's what we did. It's funny because if you look at his old stuff, and we're in the process of switching over his stuff right now. Like his new site's done, but it's not new live. Like it's it's a 360-degree different between what it was and what it is now, right? So, but at the end of the day, it's I think for everybody in here, it's about deciding what's important to you and what you feel like you need the most help with, and then we can build a plan that works for you guys. Good question. Any other questions? I'm just here answering questions, so yes. Okay. Anybody else questions? All right, well, turn your audits in. We hope to see some of you guys at our event next week.
Do you know what Alan Woods?
I've